My guest for AM Talk today is the Chief Executive for the National Lottery Authority. And I have here with me Kofi Osei-Ameyaw, also a former member for Isojamang. That's former member of Parliament for Isojamang, and he's also a lawyer by profession. Thanks for joining me. How are you? And we know you're a regular on this segment, but today we just want to put you in a certain perspective and also have a certain focus on the National Lottery Authority. And we know that you're new to the position, but of course now you've acclimatized and integrated yourself. I've heard you on other fora speaking about plans you have, indeed very big plans for the authority. Anyway, how was your weekend, sir?
It was okay. It was okay.
By His grace.
Okay.
How about you?
Mine was okay, sir.
Yes.
I had
a terrible accident.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
A car was stationary on the road, and I drove into the car.
Did it
but
have any indicators flash?
No, nothing. Yeah.
And it was dark.
Yeah.
No street lights.
So it also brings a sharp focus on how we need to make sure we put in place initiatives to tow off cars immediately, just like we have in the more advanced countries. We'll see how that goes. But before we focus on the National Authority, National Lotteries Authority, let's focus on some topical issues this morning. And there are key issues that we need to look at. There's been an invasion of army worms. I don't know whether you're familiar with the phenomenon. Usually when the weather patterns change, sometimes you find them in a particular period of the year that they invade certain arable areas or agricultural areas in our country. I remember I've covered that extensively when they invade areas in the Volta region before.
Here there are 9 regions out of 10.
Yeah, well, good. You're well informed on the subjects then.
But it causes so much distress to farmers who have invested so much money into the corn or maize plantations, and then to have army worm destroy their
okay.
investment.
All right. We have to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with all those discussions to stay on. And Kofi Osei-Ameyaw, he's the Director General for the National Lotteries Authority. He's the one we're speaking to this morning on AM Talk. And again, we'll have to continue the discussions. But, you know, we have to do this as a bridge. You know, the Save the Child, Save a Mother initiative.
Yes,
to raise funds in excess of some 10 million Ghana cedis in the interim to build a temporary structure, one-story structure for the baby and mother and child unit of the Confounded Teaching Hospital. I know that you're an ambassador, aren't you?
Oh, yes. And it is a very laudable campaign led by the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. And I think all Ghanaians should support it and contribute generously. We have contributed, and we are calling on everybody to do same. And I hear Kumasi was very, very interesting.
Yes, and you see the pictures very soon.
Okay.
As we also do a crossover to our correspondents there and our producers who will bring us some live feed, because today will be the sword cutting event of what took place yesterday. We'll bring you pictures of what took place yesterday briefly before we go to Martha, and we'll have those pictures shortly. Just giving you a gist of what really... Okay, so we have Martha, and Martha Crinsel Aqua is an editor with JoyNews. She's the producer on the ground. Good morning to you, Martha.
Good morning, Roland. How are you doing?
Yes, I can see, well, all the colors behind you, the canopies, etc. It's showing that we're really ready for the event. So what can you tell me by way of the atmosphere this morning?
Roland, I didn't hear a final part of the question.
What's the atmosphere like as we prepare ourselves to undertake this short ceremony?
Okay, so there's excitement in the air. We're all excited because at least we're going to take off this project right after the sword cutting by the First Lady of the Republic this morning. And where you see me standing is the parcel of land where we're going to construct the new mother and baby unit, which is expected to ease congestion and save the lives of mothers and babies also. So we are getting ready. Everything is taking shape, and exactly 8:30 a.m. we're going to start the event, and we're going to be live on JoyNews also. So we have security here, we have security detail here, we have CAF officials here, we have multimedia officials here also, and you have the technical crew working on the ground to ensure that everything goes ahead without any hitch at all, Roland.
At the end of the day, we know that a lot more organizations, individuals, and even especially those in Parliament have committed themselves to make sure that we are able to raise this temporarily. How has the commitment been beyond Menhia in Kumasi and beyond in the Ashanti region?
In fact, yesterday at Menhia, we had so many more pledges than the actual money that came in, but it's all good because most of them said they didn't know about the event. They came in late and they heard about it and they thought it was a worthy cause, so they're going to donate towards it. And so we have more pledges than donation. But beyond it, you have organizations who are pledging to give us resources, aside money, to be able to ensure that this project sees the light of day in 4 months as the First Lady wishes it to be. And then you have others who are willing to come on board with any other thing. So they don't actually specify what they are given for the project, but they tell you that this is what I do. I have resources for this and that. So you choose what you want and I'll come in. And for the donations, I think Kumasi Menhia Palace was great. It was bigger than Accra. You know, we have this perception that when you come to Kumasi, you sure will get your target. And I think they came out in their numbers. The show itself, you're going to see that later. As you said, you are going to show them later what happened yesterday at Menhia. But it was great. Everything went well, and we are excited to be partnering this program. So in less than an hour, we'll take off here. We are expecting the First Lady and the Second Lady to be here. So the formalities will start when they arrive. I'm running you through the program. When the formalities start and they come here where you see me now. And behind me, you have the canopies. So they are going to sit at the dais. And then you have the media somewhere. We have a place for the media. You have officials of CAT, and then you have others also. So when they come, and after 2 or 3 speeches, short, brief ones, then we'll proceed and come here to this part of the land, and then the official sword cutting is going to take place around this area. So we're going to have the sword cutting here, and we move on to go and finalize the program, and then we depart from here. So in an hour we'll be done. If we start by 8:30, we're likely to finish by 9:30. So if you look on my right side here as I stand here, you see the land has been cleared, prepared, ready for the project to take place. And it faces the Block C, exactly opposite the Block C, one of the huge buildings here at Kath. And then on its right side, on the right side of the building, you have the sword site of Okomfo-Anokye, which is neatly established. So immediately you get here, you see the sword site of Okomfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. And then the building is also going to be bounded on the left side by some hostels, nursing hostels, and some other facilities. Roland.
Just by way of recap, yesterday from the event, how much was raised in total?
We raised about $1 million in cash and checks, and then $1 million and a little over 500 in pledges.
And the public donations.
So we want to separate the cash and check from pledges. At least for the cash and check, you know it is going to happen. You have been given your word, but the pledges, you are now going to redeem them. So more than what we realized was more in pledges than in cash and checks.
And we're going to have the public also complement that through the numbers we have, the account numbers from Access Bank and the mobile money platforms that we have to donate. Is that not it?
Hello, Roland. In fact, the sound engineers and others and DJs are testing their systems.
Okay.
So I can barely hear you.
All
There was
right.
some noise at the background. If you can recap that for me.
Okay, we just have to leave you there. And we know that 8:30 we'll be
Okay.
joining the team live. And it is a main event.
Yes,
Going to be
yes,
live here
we'll bring it live.
on this channel. And we're also going to stream it. And just in case you don't know where to go, please make sure you touch base with us. We'll be having My Joy Online TV, as well as the multi-TV world platforms on the internet, as well. We'll be streaming live on JoyNews, of course, and also on Facebook JoyNews on TV. But a good initiative nonetheless, an initiative to complement effort of the states, but also provide facilities that inure to the overall benefit of livelihoods.
That's true. In this day and age, I don't think as a nation we should allow our sisters, mothers to go to the hospital to deliver and lose both mother and child. So the First Lady has done extremely well in putting this together. We all support her. I hope and I believe, and as she stated, it is not going to be restricted to Kumasi, Komfo-Anokye, but throughout the whole country. And I think we should all support government, private, public-private partnership, and we should be able to save lives. That is what is important, because you cannot live in a nation where your mothers and sisters go to deliver, multiply society, and then you lose them for reasons that shouldn't be. And for me, it is very, very important that we continue to assist and build. In fact, our health system has failed us to some extent. It's great to see the First Lady putting it together so that we can move forward as a country. I commend her and the Second Lady as well for this incredible initiative.
At the end of the day, we want to raise enough so that that helps the hospital, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. But we also know that the other hospitals, equally big ones, there could be regional hospitals, etc., that are also in need of such facilities, won't you say?
Well, so it shouldn't be limited to this campaign alone. We should look at it holistically. Government should come in and assist. And we also call on our international partners, the donor countries, to also look towards saving the mother and child. And we must do it now. It is amazing. We shouldn't, as you said, restrict it to Kumasi alone.
Well, good initiative. And at 8:30, we'll bring you that live event. It is the official sword cutting, I believe, for the start of the project. In excess of some 10 million Ghana cedi is needed to build what the project engineers call a temporal structure. That is a structure to inhabit in the meantime while the bigger project, which had been abandoned between 30 and 40 years, is completed at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. And we know the number of infants that die daily as a result of the poor conditions at the baby and maternity unit of the hospital. And we know that the First Lady is championing this with the initiative of multimedia. But now let's go back to the subject of armyworms.
Yes.
And the way they ravage farms, and they cause a lot of havoc to many farmers. How, as a country, should we be dealing with this? Because this is a natural order. So, but when they happen, we should have a better way to deal with it.
We should look to other countries where they have measures, preemptive measures of stopping them from attacking the farm produce. There should be some chemicals or some weedicides or whatever that we can apply or we can give to farmers that could stop this armyworm from invading. But as a country, we have not been doing that, and we leave the farmer to deal with it. And as we have just seen, the investment by farmers have all gone to waste. how are we going to address this? What compensation resource do we have in place to assist these farmers who have lost so much? These are issues that the Ministry of Agriculture should take on board to see how we can take remedial measures to remedy the loss of these farmers in terms of the investment. It is also going to affect the food stock or the maize stock that the country should have, because if most of the maize has been destroyed, then how are we going to replenish? It means we have to import. It means we need foreign exchange to bring in food, and that is not good planning for a country like Ghana. We should be ahead, and we should be able to preempt these things, because we cannot allow it just because it's a natural phenomena. It shouldn't be allowed to destroy so much that at the end of the day it would come back to hurt the nation as a whole. So I believe that it's terrible. As a country, we should all come together and make sure that in future we have measures that would minimize, if not completely eliminate, minimize such invasions.
Mm. And we have on the line Ebenezer Abuaje. He's the acting director for Plant Protection and Regulatory Services for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Good morning to you, Mr. Abuaje.
Good morning.
Which regions have most been affected by these invasions we're seeing of the armyworms?
Okay. Greetings to your cherished customers and cherished listeners. For the regions, as I said, mostly affected is the Gov't region, and then the Eastern region are mostly affected, and then Ashanti region too are mostly affected. So for now, it's only Upper East region that have not received any reports, just because they are yet to start the season. Even the Northern region and the Upper West region, those areas which are irrigated areas and the lowland areas, where they have the man outbreaks. But the major outbreak is the Eastern, as I said, Ashanti, and the general Plant region.
But one will be curious, what causes these invasions each year or periodically?
No, for Ghana, it was only last year we experienced that for armyworm. What we have in Ghana here is what we call African armyworm. And this fall armyworm is from the North and South America. So last year we experienced this fall armyworm. But what happened was, the farmers thought it was the normal African armyworm we knew in Ghana. Some also thought it was stem borers we also knew in Ghana. So they were trying all means to control them, because these pests were known to them, so they know how to control them. So later on they realized they couldn't control them. Then they made a report to the ministry, and we sent some samples for identification, and it was confirmed that it was fall armyworm. It means their control is different from the normal African armyworm. That is why the ministry is now taking steps to ensure that they are well controlled.
I do understand that, but I'm saying that why do we have the phenomenon of the invasion? I mean, why do we have them? If they originate from Latin America or South America, why do we have them?
Yes. What I'm saying is, they are insect pests, and they are always searching for food. And this insect you are talking about can fly as long as 100 kilometers a day. And this insect doesn't need any passport to cross any border. These are transboundary insects. So, as you could see, they are in South Africa, they are in Zimbabwe, they are in Kenya, they are in Burkina Faso, Nigeria, they are everywhere. It means as they are traveling, they are moving, and they are then destroying the crops. So once they get to Kenya, South Africa, they are in Africa. Get to Nigeria, you see, they are always in Ghana. So not that somebody brought them in, but as I said, they fly and they travel a longer distance. So no matter where you are, once you have, the maize is not, they have maize only they don't have maize only in Ghana. America, where they have the maize there. So the host plant is here. So once they move, they always search for their host plant. And maize is their preferred host plant. That's why they are on our maize.
But I'm told that you, the department at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, you are not able to deal with these so-called fall army worms that you've found.
It's not necessarily so. What I'm saying is, the issue should come from the field to the directorate for action to be taken. And what I said earlier, when the farmers saw the fall army worm, as I said, some thought it was in the normal African army worm. So they failed to report. So in that instance, you cannot have any intervention for them. Now that they try all the chemicals, they try all means to control it, so they are not able to control before they made the report that, oh, this one we thought was African army worm, or we thought was the stem borers, not able to control it. So what are the measures?
Mr. Abwaje,
that's why I said we took samples.
Mr. Abwaje, you're supposed to be a director for plant protection and regulatory services. So you're just a director, you don't do monitoring?
As I said, we do monitoring.
So if you monitor, how long would it take for you to go and do a next monitor to know whether you have invasion of a certain pest or insect, etc., in large acreages of farms in your area of coverage?
What I'm saying is, we have regional officers in all the regions. Not necessarily from Accra to do the monitoring in the regions. We have regional officers there. And some districts, we have even some staff over there. What I'm saying is, the staff, as I said, they are limited in number. So they cannot move to all the farms in the country. So we live with the farmers, they will give us the reports. So what I'm saying, when the issue started coming last year, as I said, they thought it was the normal and fall annual. So the cow is fall annual. So they would then normal control measure.
Mr. Abwaje, how many in terms of numbers of personnel do you have across the country?
Across the country, we have about 280 staff across the country.
And most of them, and that includes you as well.
Yes, and
okay.
not necessarily all. We have some at the border. So those who are in the this and that survey, they are maybe about 100 which are in charge of this and that survey, and we have some at the entry points. So which test the import and export at the entry points.
Well, sorry, I'm itching to ask you a lot more. So, okay, with over 200 staff that you have, how many of them are field workers? That will bring you.
Yes, I'm saying they are about 100 field workers.
So 100 field workers.
That's why, yes, the field workers who are on the disease and pest survey. So they are giving the report. That's why they.
And we know that not all lands in Ghana are covered by farms, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So if we know where the farms are in Ghana, and we know seasonally where certain crops are planted, etc.
Yes,
I'm not saying it's an easy job because I don't do your job, but then perhaps your department has not been more proactive, I should say.
Not necessarily proactive. What I'm saying is, the number I'm saying now, if you have got a staff in each district, and we have 216 districts, so you could see the staff number, you can't get one per district. That is why we are liaising with extension officers, and then we are liaising the farmer groups and the farmers themselves. So on this issue, as I said, we treated the steps. They made the report. And before they made the report, because we are giving them...
Sir, in this day and age where we have phones, etc., we have voice over IP communication activities and devices and technology, I mean, you don't need to be present at the place. Just a click of a picture will give you the type of... You can do monitoring without necessarily going there. Seriously.
Yes, what I'm saying is, not all the farmers, as you are saying, not all the farmers are on this social media. I remember I said, the farmers themselves, you cannot underrate their intelligence. They know most of the pests. They have been trained and some of the pests they can control.
Okay, Mr. Abwaje, so right now, how are you helping the farmers then?
Yes. Now, as I said, The government has procured insecticides and they give them to the farmers. We are monitoring for them to spray. And now the direction the government has also brought in the Fund for Food and Jobs, where the farmers are giving the fertilizer and then the seed. So even though some of the maize have been destroyed, the farmers can still make up. So now all those who are still affected were those who planted earlier. But those who are taking part in the Fund for Food and Jobs were able to escape the damage. So once they are there and then they are going for the manure season, and the inputs are already there, and they are different levels, they are already there now, for now. I went to and they are already there.
Okay.
So the major season, you can go in the full scale to make up the gaps we lost.
Your counterpart in Southern America, what knowledge transfer have you gotten from them?
Perfectly. As I said last year, the fear was that the chemicals were used to control, whether the right one they used to control. So now we have listened to all our counterparts and they're giving us the right chemicals for control.
Whilst at the same time, the army worms or the fall worms are devouring crops and farmlands. You are now liaising.
No, what I'm saying is they had the first. So they had experience. So we also got ours. You have to listen to them. What message they used to control. That's why they're giving all the guidelines and then the chemicals we used to control. That's why giving out those chemicals out there to the farmers that these are the right ones used to control. So from here, I said, from now, they say you should go to the biological insecticides. So
Mr. Abuaje, is Ghana the first country or the first country that the fall worms invaded first? Is it okay? Which countries in Africa got invaded by the fall worms first?
I said South Africa, Zimbabwe, Congo.
So while you were acting director for Plant Protection and Regulatory Services, you were not monitoring the African sub-region. So you didn't know that perhaps maybe South Africa, something has happened. And because we all have the same terrain, it can come to West Africa, right?
We are monitoring. That's why we were able to control as a town. If you look at the areas, the damage in Kenya and all those areas, about 80,000, 100,000 hectares. Ours is 18,000 hectares. It means we are putting interventions in place. Because all those areas we are talking about, the acreage which were destroyed is far higher than Ghana. Meaning that Ghana was able to take the necessary step as early as possible to manage the pest.
Mr. Ebenezer Abuaje, thank you for speaking to us. You are the Acting Director, Plant Protection and Regulatory Services, Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Interesting.
It's unfortunate.
But the good thing is they are now liaised with their counterparts in South America, and we have they are being advised as to the control measure or mechanism to stop the invasion. I would have thought that they would have taken the initiative, the preemptive initiative, to have forestalled this, given that the farmers became aware. They could have taken samples of the worm and then gone to the lab and then sought the how to control it, as he's now said. But at least, Roland, they are putting measures in place to stop it. But these people should know that they owe a duty of care to the farmers, and that they should be helping the farmers and not the farmers actually helping themselves. And from what he has said, the system just broke down. His men were not up to the task,
because it's not a usual phenomenon.
Precisely.
This one, even though they have worms, but this one is not the usual one.
Precisely.
So they got taken over by event.
Precisely, and he even admitted that it started in South Africa. So as you said, he could have checked and then taken measures before they came to Ghana. We would have prevented it, but we didn't do that. But thanks to God, we now know how to resolve it. The chemicals should come quickly so that it doesn't spread and destroy further farmlands.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But let's move on to a subject. It's a bit funny though, but it's about one Dr. Anaba. He said he's going to sue government over a transfer. He's been transferred to UDS.
Right.
And Dr. Thomas Anaba was a medical director for the new hospital in Accra. It's called the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. And he's worried about the way he was dismissed. So he's gone to the court.
Well, let's get it right. Transfer or dismissal? I don't quite get it. If it is a transfer, well, that the transfer was not lawful.
Yes, he says it was unlawful. Let me just read null and void and of no effect.
Well, I think...
You're a legal
yes,
man too. So.
Yes. Well, he has a right. If he believes that we have not applied the law properly, in which case he can go to the judiciary and seek the redress that he is seeking. In that particular case, that right is open to him, just like any Ghanaian. But as to whether he would succeed in his action is another matter. I don't think that government has no power to transfer. If that is the case, then he must as well be government. Government has the right to transfer. Transfer does not amount to unfair dismissal. So let us wait and see how he would plead his case in court and whether the court would agree with him that the transfer is not proper. In which case, the government would take whatever action they need to take if it is found to be unfair and unlawful. So for me, he has a right. He's exercising his right under the law.
And that's fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay. But, well, for somebody like him, chief executive or director, medical director of that institution, and now he's been sent to the UDS, well, is it not because you enjoy a certain emolument and a certain structural benefits? Your children are here, they have a certain livelihood, and is it not psychologically a drastic way, etc.? How is it done in the service?
I'm just wondering, those at UDS, don't they also have children? Don't they have family? I don't get it. I don't get it. Why?
You are saying transfer is transfer?
Transfer is transfer. Those working up there are also human beings. We should be able to swap personnel from time to time. And in this particular case, if he feels that he should remain in Accra exclusively, I don't think that is tenable. That argument for me is untenable. So let's hear his arguments in court. I don't think it would get far. I don't believe so. But he has a right to challenge.
He said he applied to take up the position.
Do we get all the positions we apply for, Roland? I believe whilst in Joy FM you would like to apply to be something else, or you have applied and maybe you got it or you didn't. So what? If you apply for a certain position and you don't get it, it doesn't mean you can't go elsewhere to do work that ordinarily you would have been doing here. I don't think it is a demotion. Have they demoted him? He's entitled to whatever position he's holding now. It is not going to be a demotion of the current position, I don't believe.
Well.
And if it is, well, then he may have a reason. But I don't think so.
On this premise, it was a public advertisement to take up the position of medical director of the hospital.
Right.
He applied for it.
Yeah.
Is it
By
not
UDS, don't they have a medical unit there? Isn't there a teaching hospital? Isn't the university a teaching hospital? If there is, it's the same job that he's going to
teaching
do.
hospital? UDS teaching hospital?
I don't know. I mean,
I know that they
what
use
is Tamale. Yes, but then isn't there? Can't he do the work, same work in Tamale Teaching Hospital through UDS? No.
Well, but
isn't it affiliated to
all the same? All the same, he's aggrieved, and I'm sure that's why he's.
Oh, but I mean, if a decision is made, and administratively you don't agree with that decision, well, it is only the one who is aggrieved that will take the matter to court, and that's why we have the judiciary, so that aggrieved persons can go to court and seek redress. So it's within his right. So why are we making a media issue out of it? Why isn't he focusing on his legal action. Why trying the matter in the media? I don't see any good reason for this matter to be even in the media. We must have other important issues to discuss.
Well, we just discussed army worms and we discussed save a child, save a mother.
That's better. But this one, an individual who has been transferred, saying that he doesn't agree and is going to court, it's within his rights.
Well, he's been transferred, but he was a medical director of not so a mean hospital, but a big one.
Every hospital is there for a particular purpose. So what is the purpose of being a medical, what is his position? Director? You can go and do similar work.
The context in which perhaps he's concerned, or his reasons, his grievances, is also because his status seems to have just changed dramatically with a new government taking over power.
Oh, please. I mean, the new government is in control because the people of Ghana decided that the new government should be in, and they must prosecute the agenda of the policies that they seek to bring. And if the government has decided that he ought to go transfer to another place, it's within the government's right. And if he says the government does not have the capacity to do so and is challenging, again, it is his right. So, Roland, I think we should, if there are other pressing issues that concern Ghanaians, let's move to those ones and see what the outcome will be. I don't even know whether he has filed any action. And if he has, I don't think we should even be delving into it and let the court decide on this particular case.
Okay. There's a story in the Ghanaian Times. It says, punish corrupt officials severely, and that's from the president of Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. He's called for punitive measures to be taken against public officials cited in the Auditor General's report for misappropriation of funds. And I know that you've been a member of Parliament, you've had experiences. The Auditor General's report and sometimes some of the things that are reported, is it that they go unpunished?
Well, I don't know how you can punish because the Auditor General has found some impropriety in terms of its work. One, we have to understand that if such impropriety is found, it is only an allegation from the Auditor General. So you must go through the process, the due process, and the Attorney General must come in and then prepare a docket, then push it forward, and then let the courts decide on whether the person has breached any law. Now, it is the law that we must understand that if you breach the law, then the courts must find one guilty of the offense. But until that, the accused person is innocent until proven guilty. So the fact that the Auditor General has made certain findings and certain recommendations does not necessarily mean that one would end up being punished. We must understand the clear distinction between that, so that any time we get Auditor General's report must not necessarily mean that there will be a prosecution, because once you go through and you can't find any cause for moving the matter forward, then you leave it. But where you can move it forward and achieve a result from the courts, then you move it forward. Otherwise, you will be wasting taxpayers' money prosecuting everything that you get in the report. So investigation is very critical. Once investigations have been done, if there are reasons that you would secure a conviction, then you move it forward. But if you cannot secure a conviction because you don't have the evidence necessary to secure a conviction, then you leave it to the Attorney General's department where they would take the necessary investigatory action and then take it forward. So for me, we should not jump to conclusion simply because the Auditor General has found certain impropriety against
in other words, as media and so to speak, anti-graft campaigners, we get worked up over.
Precisely. But we must...
Just because they are in the Auditor General's report.
Precisely. The Auditor General can also get it wrong. Maybe some of his investigations or investigatory personnel may have made certain mistakes. So it is not a one-way street. It has to be a two-way street. The person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So in this particular case, just because the Auditor General has stated that there have been certain procedures that should have been followed that were not followed, so therefore the person is guilty, fine. The recommendation is made. Then you go through the legal process. And once the legal process is exhausted, then fine. But in cases where it is clear and there is no prosecution, then we have to be worried. It's clear that the Auditor General has got a case against somebody, but through corruption, we don't proceed further and get the court to do its job. Then we are letting the state or the nation down. And we shouldn't allow that to happen.
So at the end of the day, how can we improve this level of sensitization and consciousness among the public so that people just don't go around accusing everybody just because they've been cited in the Auditor General's report?
Well, we need media discipline, and we need people like you to understand the way the law works, that once the Auditor General has brought the matter to the public domain, that we make sure that we seek information from the Attorney General to see why certain cases have not been prosecuted or certain matters have not been prosecuted, and get advice from the Attorney General rather than jumping and to conclusions as though one is guilty and that one has to prove their innocence. No, it's not like that. They are innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. So for me, we ought to be disciplined. We ought to be well informed before we go opening our mouths and accusing people. In fact, you can accuse, but at the end of the day, that is not the answer. Accuse people, but do it in a way that you don't damage their reputation or defame them. So for me, we should be cautious in the way we deal with these matters.
All right. Thank you very much, and thanks for passing through our studios this morning.
Thank you, Roland.
Kofi Osei-Ameyaw. He is the Director General for the National Lotteries Authority. Thanks for passing through our studios this morning.
Thank you, Roland.